Yo, what's going on, Kwame?
Man, the infamous, man.
So,
What's happening? Well,
chilling.
look, man.
Hey, I'm on the live stream.
Right now?
Yeah,
Okay.
I got a question for you.
Go ahead.
What do you think
Oh, shoot.
about? What do you think about Eric Adams and the situation that's happening in New York?
Um, what? First thing, and I did a post about this, is the feds have a strategy. Before we get to Eric Adams, they have a strategy, and their strategy is hurry up and get an indictment and then impanel a different grand jury. And I believe that they have another grand jury working on the issues they really want to bring forward, because the travel and all of those are the tantalizing issues that start to pick away and chew away at character issues and different stuff like that. A lot of that stuff, upgrades on flights and different things. I mean, come on, this is not. These are. I mean, they might be against the ethical requirements of the state of New York, or the city of New York, but I don't know if they're crimes. Secondly, I spent some time with Eric in New York. He knows I don't agree with a lot of his policies and political positions, but I do agree that he's a strong brother and a very intelligent brother, and he's trying to do the best that he can, and he loves New York. But a couple of moves that he made, particularly in the area of the migrants, I think got him in a whole lot of trouble politically, outside of the feds, outside of everything else. It moved him into a situation where politically he became vulnerable. And when he became politically vulnerable, particularly with those who didn't support him the first time, which was a large part of the financial community in New York, didn't really support Eric. Eric came through. He was the kind of insurgent candidate, and he came through and won. And there have been people plotting to get him since, and I believe those people are connected with a whole lot of other entities in New York, and so they're using their disdain for him politically and in his elected position, as always, because he probably would have won re-election, but for a case coming, and I think that's a play that usually happens in these kind of pivotal, mayoral races, particularly when there's somebody who's not quite owned and operated by the powers that be, as a wild card, if you will.
So, what's the play? How do they squeeze him?
I think the first thing as you do is you got to erode his character chip bit by bit. Um, People don't remember what you do, but they remember how you made them feel, and so they start to have the chipping away of character. So you chip away on character. On first thing is you make them look crazy with how you use a checkbook. Textbook. I don't care if you're talking about, my man in New Orleans, me, him. You do it in Chicago with the young guy, and he's spending 20,000, 40,000 for haircuts. You start making people look crazy
Brandon
without
Johnson.
giving,
Yeah.
yeah, without giving context to it. He spent. I remember a front page article on me is I spent $500 for a steak dinner.
Yeah.
And not knowing we were in Wall Street, kind of showboating with the bond rating agencies, but they give no context, but they start to chip away at your character. But then, for me, the worst thing is you can have is infidelity and that kind of thing. So they start now character assassination, but they're using the legal system to do it. So you got people being dragged into grand juries, dragged into interviews right now, doing what they call 302 interviews with the feds, which he won't see. So they can say anything. They can go in there and say, "Yeah, he gave me money. Yeah, we and him had some chicks on the west side. Me and him was with Puffy." They can say, they can say whatever they want to say. It's kind of like that Atlanta case where the rappers are going, "Yeah, we shot dude over it." Hey, wait, hold on.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, in those 302 interviews, which, by the way, I would just say this to all of the snitches out there. Listen, if you go into trial, you get all of that. So Me, I got all of my 302s. I'm saying that so everybody understand. I know what you're saying.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of people that smile in my face around Detroit now at times was in there just saying anything. But that's what they're doing now. They're going through the process of chipping away his character and making him easy and more vulnerable to prosecute. And so they'll do that because they need to separate him from the people who support him. And that's what they're doing now. That's the first strategy.
What is it? Will he survive this? If you had to guess, right, based off of what you know from a political perspective, from a legal perspective, can he even fight this?
If the first indictment was all I ever had, I would have been mayor another term, or I could have walked away into the sunset.
Yeah.
It depends on what else they have. If they're planning to get him out of office, that's not it. And that's that. If they want him removed, if they associate him with P. Diddy, if they associate him with a major case, like now when you bring people in, you scare them. You tell them that we're now putting together a conspiracy. And we believe you were a major factor in that. And so, I mean, guys told me in the joint, I was interviewing snitches, guys were telling me they show you pictures of your kids, tell you never see them again. They show you with a guy with a woman saying, yeah, you met your woman out there with this dude. They do everything they can to man, listen, I done saw guys I had one picture where a guy I was talking to, he pulled out a picture with a guy going to buy, a guy he knew, which was a rival dude in the drug stuff here in Detroit, buying his woman some diapers at Target.
That's what they showed him?
They showed him a picture, say, this dude right here, right next to your woman. I'm telling you right now, they've been together all day. And they showed him several pictures from the same day.
Oh.
And he told on that dude, got him 30 years. But when he got the dude, I ended up being in the same lockup with the dude. Like, I would go on both sides because I was free to move around the jail because I was number one on my indictment, didn't have no telling. Yeah. So I can move. And so I went on the other side. He said, man, my man, listen, man, that was my guy's brother. That's my guy's sister. And when her man got locked up, man, we went and bought her some dye. I wasn't messing with her, never touched her. I thought I was doing a good deed, man. I was trying to squash the beef. But the dude went and told on him. And so when he did find out, that was the truth. And he was in the room crying and all kind of stuff. But that's what I'm saying, Anton. You don't know the type, these feds, they vicious, man. They something else. And, that's why a lot of people, 63 people lined up to testify against me. And a lot of them guys I never met, never saw a day in my life. But they said they'd been to my house, me and them did this, and I'm like, man, I don't know this. They never seen this guy, definitely ain't been to my house. Mm-hmm. You had a guy get on the stand, Anton, and say, me and him hung out all the time, man. We was at his house, and he had all these cameras and turned the TVs up real loud when we talked. I mean, he had me as, Don Corleone up in that joint. Yeah. So what they'll do to Eric now is they'll start to put together people to say what they need him to say to get a larger indictment. And if that is something that they are already leaning towards, it'll be hard for him to run for re-election next year. Because it's next year. Yeah. So that's another issue. He got to run next year. But if this is it, he can muscle through this. Because a lot of this doesn't even look like common sense. It could be some ethical violations of the New York law. But, I mean, you got a couple upgrades. They pay for travel. That is not something you should go to federal prison for.
I got a couple more questions. Okay, so why don't you think, because I don't remember Eric Adams being at the Democratic National Convention.
Right.
And of course, we got this migrant crisis situation going on.
Yes.
If you had to guess, why do you think that this is a thing now? Like, who's going after him, and why is he such a huge target right now?
Democratic Party is, without question. When you look at the hand-selected U.S. attorneys that have been around the country that have gone after particularly black mayors. People don't like when I say this, but I just had to study it because I was one of them. From Sugar Land, Texas, to Philadelphia, to Florida, to California, to Detroit. It's always been a Democratic person that sends a special prosecutor in that comes in with the textbook saying by pulling the strategy, pulling the lawyers together in the town and say, I'm going after public corruption. That's happened in all 6 cases that I actually looked into personally, including here. She came in town. I was gone. I'd resigned. She came in town and said, I'm going after public corruption. Hand selected by President Obama and also the Attorney General. And came in town, and everybody, oh, don't say that. No, this is my life. Now we got, you got some of this. I know people have great affinity, and I don't want people to stop liking who they like or loving who they love. My thing is, with some of this, we just got to be truthful.
Yeah.
So they hand selected somebody to come after Kwame. Period. And so when they did that, none of the stuff, my federal investigation was open in textbook fashion a month after I got in office, Anton. So that federal investigation was 9 years. Now this is the interesting part. Nothing in the trial from February of 2002 to February of 2008, 2009 was in the trial. None of those grand jury stuff. Everything that I got indicted for came in after she was hand selected. So when we talk about this stuff, we got to really be mindful. At first was campaign violations and all that. Then when she came in, it was RICO. it was all of the all these other things that came in, get him out. And so that's the same thing that I believe is happening to Eric Adams, because Eric Adams has been challenging the administration on the migrant issue.
He has.
You left this at my doorstep. You not giving us any more money. The largest city the most important city in the world is now under a crisis, and you trying to put it on my lap. No, Mr. Biden, I put this on you, Mr. President. And so he would not come to that. They don't want him there. They don't want him there to speak, because he probably can't say what they put the white paper in front of him to say. And, a member of that administration is running for office, and she has not really been in we haven't seen them together.
Yeah, they haven't.
And so they've been distant from him because they knew all this was coming, because they've had the conversations with the Attorney General. And just so people know this, they cannot indict publicly a sitting elected official without it being signed off by the Attorney General. And the Attorney General of the United States cannot sign off on something that major as a Kwame Kilpatrick or Eric if the president doesn't know about it. And in this case, the vice president. When the feds needed to get my RICO, and I have all this documentation, that's why I can't wait to do the movie.
Yeah.
When the feds needed to sign off for my RICO indictment, they had to send it to Eric Holder.
Really?
I had to.
I didn't know that.
Yes, they couldn't just say they could recommend it. They had to send it to D.C. and say, we want to charge this man with RICO. And it was okayed by not only Eric Holder, but the President of the United States. Well, how do you know that, Kwame? Because Carolyn Cheeks Kilpatrick went to the White House. She went to the White House with her pastor from Oak Grove AME Church. She didn't feel comfortable going by herself. She brought somebody with her, and he went in there with her. And they walked up to the president. They talked to the president, and my mother asked him one question: "Do you see what's happening with my son?" He said, "Yes, I know exactly what's happening. I know exactly what's going on." And he turned and walked away.